Good morning from the South Dade Chamber of Commerce. I am Lisa Greer, board member of the Chamber, and here with us today is Damien Clare, who is the Chief Sales and Marketing Director for none other than Atlantic Sapphire. Damien, good morning. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
So obviously, the obvious and foremost question of the day is, okay, Atlantic Sapphire, Florida, South Florida, Homestead, Florida. How and why did this happen?
That's a really good question. That's the question we always get first. Why are you raising a cold water species in the Sunshine States? Which obviously sounds pretty counterintuitive when you think about it. And our CEO and founder comes from a salmon farming background. He was raising fish in the northern part of Norway. Mm-hmm. He was actually the first one to do organic salmon. So he created the organic salmon standards. And after he sold his company, he thought, how can we do this even better? Mm-hmm. And the answer is thanks to the blue house technology, which was starting to happen at the time, to take the fish out of the ocean. For those that are not familiar, salmon farming is done in big cages, mm-hmm. big nets in the ocean. And in order to do that, you need very special conditions, such as cold water, protected fjords. And those conditions happen in very remote and unique places, such as the north of Norway, Chile, Canada, Scotland, and a few other places. Thanks to the blue house technology, which basically means we raise the fish on land away from the ocean, we are able to do it in a different place than those cold protected fjords. And so our founders started to look for the perfect place to do it in the US. We wanted to collapse the value chain, and we wanted to remove the air freights. The US is also a net importer of seafood. Seafood is actually the largest trade commodity deficit that we have in this country, with oil once in a while. And so we wanted to produce in market and create local jobs. And we started to look for lands in what seemed like the most reasonable places, Maine. And in Maine, we thought we could get to be in the place where salmon lives naturally and have cold water and the climate that salmon is used to. But in order to do what we do, we need three things. We need a little bit of fresh water for the hatcheries. We need a lot of salt water for the grow-out systems. And although we recirculate 99% of our water, we need to discharge treated wastewater. And what happened 10 years ago or 8 years ago, and what we found is that it was very difficult to get permitted to do this sustainably. Getting rid of wastewater sustainably is a big challenge.
Sure.
All over the world. And what we found is Florida has the perfect conditions with the aquifer system to raise salmon, even if it's the Sunshine State.
Right.
Why? Because in Florida, we have a 3-layer aquifer. We have the Biscayne aquifer, which is the fresh water, our drinking aquifer, our irrigation source. And although we only use 5% of that water, we still need access to that clean fresh water. Mm-hmm. Just so you put it in consideration, we use less fresh water on the 10 acres of our phase 1 building than the tomato field that was on the farm. So very little bit of fresh water, but yet again, something important. And in Florida, you have a second layer of the aquifer, which is the Floridan aquifer. The Floridan aquifer is very special to us, not many people. Why? Because it is an unlimited, starts in the Carolinas, amount of biosecure salt water.
Okay.
Nobody else is interested in salt water except people that raise salmon and actually need a large amount of salt water. What's very interesting about that aquifer is it's also extremely old. It's ancient water. It's thousands of years old, and it percolates through Florida all the way till it comes right under our farm between 1,000 to 2,000 feet underground. That water is parasite-free, disease-free, viruses-free. It's old. It doesn't even have oxygen. So it's completely biosecure.
Pure. Right.
And it's also completely pure because it's so ancient that it's never seen modern man-made contamination, meaning there is no microplastics, no PCBs, dioxins. There is no mercury, which are all the things that you find naturally in the ocean.
Right.
And so we have access to our fresh water, to our unlimited amount of biosecure salt water, which is perfect for our fish. And last but not least, in South Florida, we have another piece of our geology, which is the boulder zone. That Miami, the city, is using to discharge sustainably of treated wastewater. And we actually using, there is over 200 class 5 injection wells in South Florida that the city uses. And what we do is that we use the water, we recirculate the water twice an hour, meaning 99% recirc. But the 1% treated wastewater, we remove the solid, is then injected down 3,000 feet underground. And the same way the water takes thousands of years to come in through the Floridan aquifer, Mother Nature is going to take thousands of years to filter that water back to pure salt water before it goes back out in the Atlantic Ocean. So the answer of why South Florida is the water.
You explain that so eloquently that it makes so much sense, and yet who knew? We didn't, I don't think that the community really realized the perfect storm here for Atlantic Sapphire.
It sounded almost too good to be true.
It sounds almost too good to be true, but it makes all the sense in the world. And then couple that with the fact that our world has become so much more health conscious, and fish in general and salmon specifically is so much better for us that we're so much more conscious about what we put in our bodies. So salmon has become, it's not trendy, it's the new norm. It's what we want to eat. It's our choice fish, right?
Yep, 100%. And COVID has actually accelerated that. I think people and new generations are becoming increasingly health conscious. I think that COVID has just put the nail on that coffin. People are looking at what they're eating, what's in their food. They're picking food that's better for them. And not only better for them, also better for the planet. And I think that this is what makes Blue House salmon very special. Just to take a step back, our company is Atlantic Sapphire, but we sell the fish under the brand Blue House Salmon here in Florida. We're available at Publix and at Sprouts. And another good question is, why Blue House Salmon? And the answer is, we started to call our fish Atlantic Sapphire, but when people asked us what makes your product different, our marketing team came with a clever idea to explain to people, well, we raise our fish in a blue house. It's like a greenhouse for fish. And I think consumers can really relate. People understand what a greenhouse is.
Yes, we definitely understand that. And farming is farming, as we talked about, prior to the show starting. Farming is farming. So yes, people are going to connect and relate with Blue House salmon. And for our viewers, you did hear it, Publix and Sprouts. So when you want your salmon and you want to cook it at home, then that's where you go to get it. And in the same way that we South Floridians enjoy buying and consuming homegrown products, here's your homegrown salmon.
That's right. Correct? And we're lucky that all our partners, retail partners, let us brand our fish on the shelves. Normally, seafood is very commoditized, so you barely know, where it comes from, very tiny little marks, and even less exactly who is the producer. And we're lucky that our partners let us brand the fish Blue House Salmon. So you can ask for it by name at the store.
Very much so. So please do that when you're in Publix and Sprouts. So tell us a little bit more about, and I think this is important in terms of the production of and the growth of the salmon. You mentioned the no antibiotics, but there's also the importance of there's no antibiotics, no hormones, correct? No hormones. And because it's ocean safe, I read that. So you mentioned the farms that are in the ocean where they could be susceptible to external factors that yours are not.
That's right. So the industry has a few known challenges. Being in the wild is fantastic in one sense. It makes, the environment is given by nature. That being said, when you're in the wild, you can be affected by external events. Those external events can be disease. Those external events that can be parasites. The sea lice is actually one of the biggest issues of the industry. And the same way you can get affected by those external issues means you need to treat the fish, for instance, with antibiotics or anti-parasite treatments for the parasites. You can in turn affect yourself, the environment. How so? Well, you can spread your own disease or parasites to the wild population. The fish feces in the ocean are just dumped into the bottom of the seabed. The salmon can escape, and actually the state of Washington a couple of years ago actually removed the right to raise Atlantic salmon because 350,000 non-native Atlantic salmon escaped in the Pacific Ocean. So since that, they revoked those rights. And so the advantage of being on land, First of all, the water intake is from an artesian aquifer, which is biosecure. So we don't even vaccinate the fish, forget using antibiotics. Number two, the fact that we can actually capture everything that comes out of our farm before putting the water back into the injection well, meaning that we capture all the fish feces that can in turn be reused for things such as compost, fertilizer. We're even looking at scale to create a biogas plant to have a circular use of that byproduct. And then all the other byproduct that comes out of the farm that are not good for human consumptions, things of the fish heads, the bones, can be used for many different applications, such as right now we're selling it to pet food manufacturers. So there is a chance that when you buy a salmon pet treat for your dog or cat, it might be coming from our byproducts. So yeah, a lot of very interesting thing and a lot of technology and a lot of advantages in doing it the way we do.
Very interesting, and absolutely, obviously, no waste. Can you talk a little bit more about the process of actually growing the salmon at Atlantic Sapphire? It's been a long time since I've actually been there and was able to tour the facility when it was very, very young and up and coming. But can you talk to us a little bit about the production? The salmon come in as eggs?
Yes.
Okay.
So we import salmon eggs from Iceland at the moment. It is in our plan at scale to create our own broodstock facility to make our own eggs. But right now, to simplify the process, every 7 weeks, we bring in 500,000 eggs.
Wow.
Every 7 weeks, that fish is moved through the systems. And by the way, an open invitation is just being extended for you to come and see the farm again. It's
Thank you very much.
Gone a long way since the last time you've been there.
Yes.
And every 7 weeks, the fish is moved between systems. As they grow, we give them bigger tanks, more water, more space for them to thrive. People ask a lot about fish welfare. And the best answer to this is, as a farmer, we're the first interested in having happy animals. An unhappy animal doesn't eat, doesn't grow, and doesn't thrive. And so for that reason, as the fish grow, we just keep on giving them larger tanks, more water for them to thrive. And I think that's what this production is all about, happy fish. The fish is in the center. And if you're a farmer, any kind of animals, you know that this is how it works. And for us, the welfare comes about the space, but it also comes from giving the fish the perfect conditions. And this is what we do. That's the beauty of the Blue House. If you're in the wild, you're affected by changes, happening from Mother Nature. And global warming is not helping the conventional farmers with more and more algae blooms, ocean acidification, temperature warming. The beauty about the Blue House is we pick the quality, and our job, and this is the main job of production, is stability. We need perfect, stable conditions so our fish can thrive. And this is what we do. And again, I extend an invitation to you and to the public. We're going to start doing more and more tours to see what we do and how we do it. It's very technologically advanced. We monitor, I think, 28 parameters in real time: temperature, salinity, pH, CO2 level, oxygen level, and you name them. And it's a lot of big data to collect all that information. It's a lot of artificial intelligence to make sure we have the perfect conditions and we feed the fish properly, and so on and so forth. And so every 7 weeks, the fish is moved to bigger and bigger and bigger tank, until every 7 weeks on the other end of the building, we harvest the 500,000 fish. So we make space, and it's a non-stop dance of fish coming in and fish movement. And it's exciting to hear about, even more exciting to see it in person. We also have a couple of videos that I can share, so you can put them with the interview.
We will do that. We will
a virtual
absolutely
tour.
Yes, we will absolutely do that, and that's it. And that's very good. And so, talk to us a little bit about the actual production. Atlantic Sapphire has a goal to produce a certain percentage of the consumer consumption. Can you talk to us where we are today and what the goal is for tomorrow?
Yeah, so today our phase 1 building, which is currently producing and the fish is being sold at supermarkets and restaurants, is designed for 10,000 metric tons per year. Think about 20 million pounds of fresh whole salmon.
Wow.
Our plan is to finish the construction next year of phase 2.
Okay.
That's going to take us to 25,000 metric tons. That's about 55, 60 million pounds of whole salmon. And at scale, we want to scale up all the way to 220,000 metric tons. That's close to 500 million pounds of salmon, which would today be about 30% of the US consumption of salmon. So
30% of the US consumption of salmon. That's a lot of salmon.
Right here in Florida. And our CEO said his dream is that one day we have Idaho potatoes, Maine lobster, and salmon from Florida.
There you go. I love it. The fact that we have this in our backyard, and to some degree, it's a well-known, it's not a well-known fact. It's actually a gem, a secret gem in South Dade, in South Miami-Dade, and in Homestead in particular. So it is very exciting to, number one, have you on the show with us today, to be able to talk about what's in our backyard in South Miami-Dade, to be able to describe the length at which this production is slated to feed our country. This is a win-win situation.
We definitely think so, yes. And, the local production has so many advantages, aside from what I explained about our technology.
Mm-hmm.
But here, Florida doesn't produce much. And in Florida, we import most of the food that we eat and most of the consumables that we buy.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that it is a win-win. It's a win-win for the state. It's a win-win because we create jobs. We've been very lucky that there is quite a few universities. I won't name one in particular because
Mm-hmm.
it's a few that are, forming those fish farmers of the future. And we are recruiting nonstop. Again, I'll be happy to share the pages where, people can apply for jobs.
Yes.
I think that it's not only a job. I think that salmon farming is a way of life and it's a career. We're a, 10-year-old startup, but still a startup with very large growth plans. And what we're offering is not only jobs, it's career opportunities. I think that our growth means that we're still at the beginning. And I think that people tend to think of salmon farming, imagining everybody wearing rubber boots, which we do a lot of the time. But to do what we do and to make it happen, it takes so many different kinds of careers and of people. I mean, we do have salmon farmers and operators and people feeding the fish. We have veterinarians, but we also have water chemists, geologists, engineers, construction people. We have legal, we have sales and marketing, we have accounting, we have finance. By the way, we're a publicly traded company. And so it's so much opportunity for so many careers to work for a company that is doing something good locally. And we feel that we're very lucky. People ask always if we have trouble attracting talent. And I think that the way we are positioned really rings, with younger generations. People want to work with companies like ours, companies that make an impact, that make a difference, and that are going to help feed the world in a more sustainable way.
We've become more socially conscious, of course, and we're ecologically conscious. So of course we want to do something that is good for our communities, good for our health and well-being, and to make a career out of it is even much more exciting. So how many people does the company hire today, and where do you see it going?
So today we're 160 full-time employees.
Okay. Wow.
Working for our phase 1 building, and we're also in the process of training the future managers for our second expansion.
Mm-hmm.
That means that we might need a little bit less people than what we are, but as we're scaling up and growing, we need to keep on bringing talents and teach people how to farm salmon. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have a lot of great aquaculture engineers coming to us, but very few of them have seen salmon. Mm-hmm. And so it takes time for people to come, understand what we do, how we do it, learn of all the standard operating procedures to get trained. So in time, they become the managers of the future. I want to say that by phase 2, we'll be a little bit over 200. Okay. And by the time we finish our business plans, it'll probably be in the thousands. That doesn't count. Yeah. And that doesn't include all the indirect jobs that we're creating. Think construction just to start, and all the contractors and subcontractors. It's an average of over 300 people on our sites building our second phase every day. And then think of all the other indirect jobs being added, such as transportation, just the logistics of people bringing in feed and taking out our fish, packaging, further value processing, distribution. And we have a study that we did a couple of years ago showing that our project is generating about 20,000 indirect jobs.
Excellent. That was going to be my next question, because it's all about economic development, and economic development is is so important to our communities because jobs are important. And we talked earlier on in the program about the transportation down here in South Miami-Dade County. And if you're living and working within this South Miami-Dade community, what better way to resolve some of the congestion that we have in our traffic? So is there anything else that you would like to address with the audience with regard to Atlantic Sapphire and our wonderful salmon production?
I think you've asked all the very important questions. No, but please come and visit us.
We would love
Please look us up online. You can follow us on social media for our consumer brand at Blue House Salmon. And yeah, we're excited to keep on growing. We're excited to produce local food, and we're excited for everyone to go to Publix and buy our fish.
So thank you to our viewers for watching us today. Make sure that you buy your fresh, locally grown Blue House salmon at Publix and Sprouts. Make sure you enjoy it and think of Atlantic Sapphire when you do. We are happy to have Atlantic Sapphire as a partner with the South Dade Chamber. We thank you for your partnership there. We look forward to many, many more years as partners in our community. We look forward to helping each other in the economic development of our South Miami-Dade community. And it's at this point in time, folks, that I would be remiss if I did not, number one, thank Community News for letting us and allow us to use their facilities and share the exciting news of what's going on in South Miami-Dade. We thank the trustees of our South Dade Chamber. Without them, we could not operate. It's a great partnership in our communities, and we appreciate it very much. Please check out the South Dade Chamber's website for our upcoming June 9th Ladies of Legacy Luncheon, whereby, by the way, the protein for the lunch is going to be provided by none other than Atlantic Sapphire. So we thank you all for that partnership as well. So please check out our website. Please join us on June 9th for our Ladies of Legacy Luncheon and enjoy our salmon. And thank you, Damien, for your time with us this morning. We really appreciate getting to know you all a little bit better.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, folks.
All right.